gifts. And so I just started the recording on that. So we often mistake gratitude as the end experience of being given or gifted. It's actually quite the opposite. It is the result of giving, of contributing, of being present to. And from that, what I know is that not only does gratitude come, but the deep, deep desire, which I felt on Saturday and as many times, to give as much as possible, to give more, to make someone smile. These small things, right? We brought lunch then on Sunday for the monks who were doing the mandala, and I didn't even get to see them. It didn't matter. We put the lunch from Gudanya. Thank you to the board and the Sangha for contributing to that. We fed the monks and a few of their assistants. And I heard later from Christy how delicious the monks enjoyed the Gudanya sandwiches. Just bright, how wonderful that they felt nourished like that they felt cared for like that. You know, they travel for several months, and I know it's exhausting for them. And so that one small thing that we contributed, really, the whole of the Sangha contributed in that small way matters. And then what I know, it's why we're going to listen to Mary Oliver this morning in her own reciting of one of my favorite poems of hers and of all time, really, Wild Geese, because we frequently, don't we, mistake the order of things, don't we? Mistake the order of things. We believe we have to either suffer to get to goodness, or we believe we have to be worthy of goodness. And I think it's so much simpler, really. We have to simply show up. And out of that, the genuine desire for exchange and the oneness and the unity and the no longer self or other. That's just how we felt about those people in the car, didn't we? We just wanted them to be happy, period. And any way we could have done that, we would have easily given whatever we had for that purpose. Let's listen to Mary Oliver. We're going to be making a slight shift now from this idea of recognizing one's goodness, one's blessings, and then the genuine, really spontaneous, I would say uninterruptible, right? You can't get in the way of it. It just flows out. That kindness is the essential result. Let's see what Mary Oliver has to say here.
You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
So I hope everyone could hear that. That was, again, for all kinds of reasons, one of my favorite poems. Uh, one of the things written about that poem, which of course in every way is also a prayer, isn't it? One of the things written as I was reading under the YouTube was, "This poem has saved my life." And I thought, yes, it is good to remember. It is good to remember that we are essential and essentially a part of the family of things, even when we have forgotten. And our practice time today will be inspired by Mary Oliver and the interest in, so that we can continue to contribute. I'm going to grab my bell here. So let's prepare to sit. And so seeing if we could feel into that vibration, that sensation, the essence of that poem, prayer. The whole of the world, Mary Oliver is saying, is calling to you to hear. And so feeling simply what we feel, not reaching for some other experience at all. And so as I drop into this body, this moment, I can feel the cold of the table base, my foot's on one side, and the warmth and softness of this gray, silver, shaggy rug on the other. Somewhat of a beautiful juxtaposition. And rather than think about it, can I simply drop into the experiencing this body, alive only this breath. And then we let the easeful, natural, effortless breath find you. And as we enter the body, climbing out of the concepts, out of the narratives, out of the storylines of our made up lives. Joko used to call that our Teflon lives, our substitute lives, the ones we want to project. That's it, filled, right? Facebook is filled with this. The imaginary life we wish, instead of this genuine, authentic, vulnerable, tender life we have, all of us. May we offer this practice today to all those who might benefit. May we call those special ones to mind. I'm going to be calling Andy and Catherine, who have not been well. And with our motivation and aspiration enlivened, may we hold it in our bodies. in our hearts, in our minds, and in every cell. May we breathe simply from this genuine wish that there be an end to suffering, and that all beings everywhere, without exception, omitting none, be happy and free. Just feeling into this posture, seeing how you can find a posture of alertness, wakefulness, attentiveness, and yet settling back into the body a bit. Watching the tendency of the mind to push forward into another moment, which is really another life. What would it mean to simply abide here? Staying in contact with the body, finding your way in your time to the metronome of the breath. For most of us, with our dizzying minds chatter, we rarely connect to the magnitude and the miracle of this one breath. Rarely. Not unless we're losing it. And let's not wait. Gifted this life over and over. And there is really only one task here, which is to greet the breath or the body sensations or the sense of open space. You can find your object with one's complete attention. You give everything. You may notice opinions about the body, opinions about the breath, opinions and preferences about how we want things to be. This is no problem at all, and there is some beauty in the recognition itself. But rather than engage, rather than buy in, rather than join the storyline, we simply smile. There it is. That ever craving, ever wanting mind. And we let go. Seeing if we can feel into this sense of completeness, of wholeness. Nothing missing, there is no lack at all. And as we sit in the early stage of our meditation practice, we're really simply just shedding the armor, right? We're dropping the weapons. We're finding our way into the breath as a way of beginning to soften this animal body so that it can be permeable, so that the gifting, the giving, and the receiving are all possible, but only in softening. And there is no softness, there is no vulnerability, there is no tenderness, there is no kindness in the wanting. This wanting mind that is always seeking something else. And in the very noticing, we smile again. And we simply return to reside in the softened body. Where all kindness comes from. And then we would begin to remember that there's nothing else that was needed at all. That everything that is needed to be present, to be joyful, to be kind, to be compassionate in this life is already here. This moment is enough. This breath is enough. This body, however it is enough. Enough for what? Enough for love. Enough for kindness. What were you looking for? All the goodness, all the care, this boundless heart has always been right here. And so we simply then rest in the stillness and silence without seeking. And see if you can sense what that feels like. We cannot even imagine the magnitude, can we, of all that has to go right. The perfect alignment of stars and sun and moon, water and air and heat and beings required for this moment and this life. Unimaginable. And when we finally see all that's here, just like all those blankets on Saturday, there's only one thing you want to do, and it's give them away. You can't help but share. Its abundance is overwhelming. This safety, this warmth, this ease, whatever amount you have, this house, this job, these friends. This love. And as we point the mind towards all that is present, all that is available, all that is gifted in this one breath, you can begin to feel from that wholeness, completeness, from that gratitude, the desire to contribute. And that desire is a beautiful beginning. I wanted to cultivate that a bit, but really the work is in the thoughts, words, and deeds that are then the result. We have fertilized the soil and now we grow. All those small and large acts of kindness, of generosity, of compassion, of holding oneself in times of need and holding others. And then I'd like you to think of a need, a place where your eye has gone or your heart has gone, where you go, you know, I want to offer something. And I just want you to, for this moment, just imagine making that open. Whatever it is, food to the pantry, money to an organization that is of service and benefit, maybe to your own family. Maybe it's simply checking in on someone. And for now, we can simply send that developing metta, that goodwill, that loving kindness. We can send that with the breath itself. as we breathe out, we can send out blessings, phrases of love and kindness, of compassion. And you can send actually directly through visualizing whatever's needed. So as I'm thinking about Carrie this morning, I'm imagining her running up a big hill and wanting to send her that freedom, that mobility. And I would let this process flow somewhat naturally. You know, of course, many people are coming to mind, and I would just say take several breaths, wishing health and well-being, time with family, time in connection, clarity, and love. And if you feel like you're getting into a state of bankruptcy here, it's like, whoops, I don't know if I have enough for that. That's really the signal to come back to oneself and resource, refuel. Take time with yourself. It's just right. And then I'd like you to see what happens when you repeat the phrases and you find the phrases that best suit you. But I'd like you to pick one special one or yourself and just offer that repetition phrases. We know that where we rest the mind takes the shape really of that. May I be happy. Really happy. Be free from inner and outer harm. May I rejoice at all my blessings, all that has been gifted to me. And may I wish these very blessings others. All. May we rest and dwell in the boundless heart of all compassion and wisdom. Remembering that we ourselves are the gift. And feeling the effects of resting in those phrases, you can continue them or just rest in the effects. May we all be happy, truly happy. May we all be free from inner and outer pain. May we rejoice, be glad, take delight that not only our good fortune, but the good fortune of others. And may we rest and dwell in that boundless, good, and open heart. And may this practice today, in our remembering, may it contribute. So just taking a moment and expanding the boundless heart beyond this body, your own sense of goodness, kindness. See if we can't bring it to the things around us. It's one of the few times I get to see Carrie still on the screen because she's still at home recovering for a while.
Okay, 6 weeks.
Yep. So then when we remember, what is left to do? What is left to do out of the spinning mind of doing that we all come up with? A list, right? This and that. Then what is left to do? And then Mary Oliver's poem, then you just are the wild geese doing what geese do. And it is enough. It is enough. We often, unfortunately, imagine it, don't we, as something special and extra. And we get caught in that, I think, particularly in these holy days. But I think it's actually coming back to something, not a doing more of anything. It's coming back really with a commitment to the goodness that we already have, and celebrating that in oneself and then in others with what? Presence. Without buying a thing, right? Without buying a thing. And I hope that we can reflect on that and sit for a bit, I would say, before we go into interactions or planning, even before we go off into the big plans, about really where the real connection is. And whether you bring a pumpkin bread or a cranberry bread or you don't, probably not as important. And you know this yourself, don't you? You go, wow, it was so wonderful being with that person, that connecting with that person, but there's very little else that you needed in it. So keep that in mind and really see if you can't work to simply be there first. I think in all this doing, and I've been really cautious this year about that, and Jim's passing has probably helped that a little. A lot of letting go of things. I was just looking through the Christmas ornaments, as an example, and I thought, I don't even probably really need to put all this up. And would it really matter? And does anybody really? And the answer is no. And so I've been really careful. In fact, most of it's still sitting in my living room. One of the holidays has gone and the other one is now appearing. And really, like, what is it I really, just out of joy, just out of love, want to do? And I'm being very careful about it. And I'm actually noticing that I'm a little surprised. Like, I don't know if I even need to do that. That may not even be required. And I love the inquiry, whatever the answer is. And there is no one right answer, right? It's just what is most true and present now, can we do that? And I would say commit yourself wholly there. There's a couple things I have set up with the kids for cookie making. And, my husband just asked me yesterday, what do you want to do for dinner on Christmas? Like, I don't care. I don't actually care if we have dinner on Christmas, truth be told. I just care that we love the people we love. And however that happens, it's good enough, right? There's nothing needed, really, other than the fellowship of that, the connection of that, and the joining together in that. So pay attention, I think, a little bit here. And then what I noticed in addition is that there's plenty of energy for others. Plenty, like a lot. When you're not consumed by the, whatever it is you think you need to be doing or have to be doing. Of course, Carrie, you're in the perfect spot because you can't. And in some way, that's a real blessing, isn't it? To really,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is.
Put there, right in stillness. Right. And we do a lot of letting go. And I suppose it's itchy, or I'm not using the right words, a little, there's a little restlessness that comes, right, for us all, even at the beginning of a meditation practice, in like, I'm used to moving, or I'm used to doing, or I'm used to giving, or I'm used to, but there is equal benefit, I am certain, in not moving, doing, even when what we do, every day, there's many of you who do so much good and contribute in really all kinds of amazing ways every day. And I love these opportunities for stillness and not knowing and not being clear and not having a path. I think they're as essential as all the ones we do, because we have to find a place to be and rest, even in the midst of that. And sometimes maybe mostly, right, in the midst of that. So
I think for me, it's more that I realize that I don't need everything else. It's just, for now, it's pain management and sleeping, for more than a couple hours and getting my ice packs, and that's it. And
Yep.
everything else will be okay.
yeah, and probably, like you say, not so necessary, really. Not that it's not pleasant or right, delightful. We brought Carrie a coffee yesterday. I'm pretty sure she probably didn't need that. It felt good to us, so we brought it. But really, it's more the connection around it, isn't it? It's more the somebody's holding you and thinking of you and caring about you. And then, whatever somebody shows up with is really simply a token, isn't it, of that. And that's lovely. And, that's essential, I think, that we know we're being cared for and held. And, but the actual requirements, they're so small, really, aren't they? So small, even in the midst of all kinds of things. And there are times when they are big, by the way, thankfully, not as often, but there are. And then you show up for that, right? Then you bring the blankets and you have 9,000 of them, and you wrap everybody in them. And there are those moments too. And if we're not wasteful, and I mean that really at every level, including ourselves, really, beginning with ourselves, by over attending, over acting, overdoing, then I think we have the space to see what's needed, actually. And when we're over engaged, I think, out of that restlessness, and it begins, of course, as we know, with the restlessness of mind. right? I don't think it's possible to see where our contributions are most valuable, most essential. And I would say always begin with oneself. You know, like what's needed here. And for me, it's been a little bit of time and like not rushing to get it all up. Um, really like what's really feels like celebration of the good, the loving, the connections, the life that is here. And I'm going to say probably this year it's going to be less. There will be other years for any kind of number of reasons where amounts change, but it's not in the amount anyway. It's in the joy of it, the love of it, the sharing of it, and the connections that are its result. So with all this abundance, this infinite abundance that we are granted, if we could pause a little bit, drop in a little more, and then see what really, I think, most spontaneously, most naturally arises, just like the call of those wild beasts. It just calls you to it, and it's completely right. So I think the basics, isn't it true, Jan? Right there, bottom lines, like the basics, right? This is really it. And everything else, hopefully, is simply an expression of that genuine love and care. And again, as you're thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it, I can't think of too many things other than time together, presence together, being there, that really is something I need and want. And not too much else. And I love that truth, so that we don't have to struggle with what it is, that all the craving that we think we need. I remember once upon a time, I'm just reflecting on this, I probably made 20 different cookies for Christmas. I don't know. And I love to bake, so that was easy. And I gave them away and I loved doing that. And I'm not saying there was anything wrong in it. I actually don't feel like there was any demand in it at all. And this year I'm reflecting on one or two cookies. And of course they're traditional in our family and meaningful in that way. And right, just the energy that's here now. And letting that be enough. I think we can, and then the joy that comes from that, right, will be no less than the 20 at all. And I think it's worthy of a trial. Like, can it be enough? If it's just this, genuinely, authentically, freely, easily. Yeah, being there with sincerity, Dennis, I agree with you completely. I'd like us to practice that this week, especially as things are getting into the high gear. The traffic here, as an example, is absolutely unbelievable. You can't get anywhere. It's just jammed everywhere. And I'm like, wow, I think we've been held back from some things. And that thing is, right, contact time, presence together. And so be careful that you don't mistake it for, because there are a billion people in the stores. Watch that. Make sure it doesn't get in the way of the connection. And I would say we'll pay attention together over these next few weeks, so that this does not become a time where we are caught in the automatic habit mind of doing, but rather dropping in. And even the less number of people here today for a practice is some indication, I think, of how easy it is to get swept up in doing rather than dropping in first. So let's commit ourselves to that together for this time. We will be collecting food. Where are we? Next week, right?
Yes.
On the 14th, that is. By then,
By then.
Carrie, we'll make sure we help you get that and get that where it needs to go.
Yeah, I'll be taking it over there for her.
All right, Greg, thank you. Are you you're picking it up from Carrie's?
That's correct.
Okay, so all of us, please get to our sources, our stores, our 99, whatever, wherever you're going to get some collection, and let's make a good contribution on by Tuesday. You can drop it off, I think, at any time.
Yep.
The tub is out there.
Yep.
And we're still working on, at this point, mostly dry goods and canned goods, that kind of thing, for the St. Andrew's Food Basket program, which I feel grateful to be contributing to also. So that's absolutely wonderful. Thank you. If for some reason you can't get it here because you don't live here, but you want to contribute something, let me know. I will purchase it for you and bring it over there. So there's including people who live near and far. So just let me know. I've done that for a few people last time we did it, because they were in work situations they could not accommodate at the time. And we'll be doing that, as well as starting our book review the second week in January, A Whole Life Path by Gregory Kramer. If you don't have the book or can't remember the title, please let me know. I'm on my second or third round of the book, and it's deepening over and more for me. So I think we'll have a really good practice period together with that guidance and look forward. All right, group, I think we're good. Anything else for those who are there before we sit for one more minute together? Okay, let's just sit for another minute, remembering once again the call of the wild geese for me is like the call of our own good hearts, right? Right in the midst of that vast sky, there is a calling. There's a feeling, there is a felt sense of that gratitude or that act of kindness that just impels us. May we rest in its vastness, in its depth, and may we offer this practice today to all beings everywhere without exception. May they all find a way to the end of suffering, to the end of distress, to fear, to loneliness, to hunger. There is so much we can attend to by our very presence. Be that gift. And may we celebrate that goodness both within ourselves and then in others in this season of Lent. May we all be well, and may all things be well. So be it. Thank you, everyone, and to all those of you who contributed both financially, in spirit, in person on Saturday, and also our contributions to the Godin Chartse monks. Thank you all. We are a loving community, and I cherish our contributions and our commitment to that. So thank you all so much. I look forward to seeing you Thursday, Greg, at 7 to 7:30. We will be in the garden this Saturday, the 11th, here, and there'll be a little early tea for those who would like a little warm up before the practice. There'll be tea up in the front. Please join us for that. I look forward to seeing you all. All right, everyone, be well.
Bye, have a good day.
You too.
Be well, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Be well too. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone. Yep. Be well. Have a good work day.
Thank you.
Love your garden.
Me too, Dennis. Please join.
I'll do my best.
Yes. Take good care.
Take care. Thank you. We'll talk soon.
I hope so. Wonderful.
Okay. Namaste.